Today we're going to be adding a little horsepower to this old Raspberry Pi arcade. We're going to be doing it with zero to no dollars spent. So this is definitely something that you can do with parts that you just have laying around the house. So a few things have already happened here. I've already taken out all the old components that made the Raspberry Pi function, and all that's left inside of it now is the power strip and a few of the power connectors that controlled some of the accessories and the audio devices. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these standoffs into the wood to hold the motherboard for the new Windows PC up off the wood and give me a little bit of a working space and a place that's out cables underneath the motherboard. It's always good to keep your working area clean, so make sure to remove any of the dust and debris, and even use a small vacuum cleaner if you have to. That way you don't get any of that sawdust into any of the components that are going to be on the new motherboard. A little bit of super glue should hold these standoffs into the MDF quite nicely. This thing is going to be quite the spaghetti nightmare when it's all said and done. So it's good to take time now to throw a few cable ties on those ketchup and mustard cables so we can go ahead and have some place to put them out of the way once we get the power supply mounted. Gorilla Tape is excellent. This stuff will hold this power supply and all the other components that I put it on in place for years with no problem. Just make sure that you get it on at least semi-straight and not like me. Well, it doesn't really matter. Just get it on there. It'll hold it. So let's talk a little about what's going under the hood in here. This is a really old motherboard, which is just fine. You can build these arcade machines out of any parts you have laying around. There's no reason to go out and buy new stuff. This is going to be a Core 2 Quad Q9550, which is a 2.83 gigahertz 4-core 4-thread CPU from like 2009. And I'm going to be pairing it with 8 gigabytes of 800 megahertz DDR2 and an R9 370 4 gigabyte graphics card, which is going to bottleneck on that CPU anyway, but it doesn't matter. This is for arcade games and low-end current arcade style games. So this setup here, like I said, you can find any of these parts at resale shops or garage sales for dirt cheap. The only money that I spent to rebuild this entire machine was on a new 250 gigabyte SSD, and that's just to have an SSD so it has a little bit quicker boot time, which it does. Just adding a wireless card for a little bit of flair. That about wraps up our building process. Man, it sure would be embarrassing if this didn't post on the first try. So let's cross our fingers and hope for a little luck today. Will you look at that? What do you know? I actually do know what I'm doing. Posted on the first try. Unfortunately, I did stick the wrong Windows installer in and tried to install Windows Server. Oops, my bad. But now it's time for me to put my money where my mouth is. So stick around and I'll show you some actual game performance on this little homemade, dirt cheap arcade machine. Looks like Dings the cat is ready to play some arcades. Let's go.
Three, two, one, let's go! Three, two, one, go! Hey, Caracas! Axel Stone.
And there you have it, the dirt cheap, dirty DIY arcade rides again with a little more horsepower than before and a whole lot more fun. It plays retro, it plays current, it's an all-arounder that'll keep everyone entertained for hours and hours. Thanks for checking the video out. Please make sure to smash the subscribe, hit the like, and hit the bell to get notified of my new projects.